Welcome to Littleton, Colorado, and the metro area of the South Platte River Basin. We're here today with the One World, One Water Center for a tour that they're hosting featuring sites and priorities of the Metro Basin Roundtable, one of 9 roundtables working statewide to prepare for Colorado's water future, looking out to 2050.
This is the 10th year anniversary of Oh Wow, the One World, One Water Center. And it's been 5 years since it's been a joint venture between Denver Botanic Gardens and the university. We thought this would be a nice way to mix water experts and water novices. The focus today will be on where our water in South Denver comes from and how it is managed.
Today I'd like to talk to you about some innovative practices that we're doing at Sterling Ranch with the rest of the team. It is really a multi-pronged approach, innovative, intentional land planning at Sterling Ranch. We have smart irrigation control systems, dual water metering, drought-tolerant plant selections, and water demand management. Less water usage has actually saved the residents in Sterling Ranch and the development millions of dollars of infrastructure costs.
Way back at the beginning of all of the planning for Sterling Ranch, we partnered with the Denver Botanic Gardens, and we actually had a test site here in our soils with our sun and all of our conditions to understand how plant material was going to work here. So we have what we call a pre-approved plant list that we give to our homeowners to pick plant material from. Another feature that we do is we track water separately. So every home, no matter who your builder is, has both an indoor and an outdoor water meter. We have apps that you can get just onto your phone so that you can see what your real water usage is. And then every home, no matter what your product type is in Sterling Ranch, has what we call an outdoor water budget. And so it's based on the lot square footage. We do have some guidelines that say artificial turf is for the rear yard. We still have to have a 30% live component to each yard so that we encourage birds, bees, butterflies, all those good critters.
From day one, Sterling Ranch was developed with outdoor watering intended to be reliant on reuse and rainwater harvesting. Thus the dual meters at every home. So there's no indoor connection to outside watering. We just completed a feasibility assessment of Sterling Ranch for rainwater harvesting. We think it'll yield between 40 or 50 acre feet per year of water that doesn't have to go through the treatment plant, doesn't have to be pumped out of the South Platte River. Financially and economically, it's a really ingenious system.
What you're looking at is 18,000 acre feet of water. That's about 3 years of supply for our district. The water sources today that we have in there are native. Well, if we're in priority, we get to keep water flowing from Newland Gulch or any rainwater snowmelt. We can pump water out of Cherry Creek, again, if we're in priority. We also move all our return flows that we can reuse, the sanitized version of its treated wastewater. And we bring that treated wastewater into Cherry Creek, and then we pull it out in alluvial wells, and we pump it up here. It's about 3 to 4 million gallons of water a day. So once we treat the wastewater, you cannot tell the difference between our wastewater and distilled water. And it just kills me that we have to put it back into Cherry Creek and you get all that phosphorus back in there, which we pump in here and then our algae grows. And so we're working with the state to do more of a direct line from the wastewater plant to Rooter S. So when this thing is full, it'll be 75,000 acre feet.
So many of you remember that Two Forks was a large reservoir project that was going to be out by Deckers. And Denver was involved, Aurora was involved, many of the South Metro communities were involved, and this was going to be the answer to all of our water problems. And then in 1989, the EPA vetoed Two Forks. But many of the communities in South Metro didn't have a backup plan. And many of those communities developed with the use of non-tributary groundwater, which is the deep aquifers that are generally considered not replenished. At that same period, Douglas County was one of the fastest growing counties in the country. So we had a reliance on a not sustainable resource and incredible growth. and it was just a recipe for disaster. So and that's when the South Metro Water Supply Authority was formed. There's 14 members now. They encompass most of the large water providers in the South Metro area, but we knew we needed some sort of foundational project. Aurora decided, so they built the Prairie Waters Project, $680 million. Their ratepayers were bearing the burden of paying for that project. So Aurora said, well, no, wait a second. In some years, we have excess supplies, and we could actually invite someone else to use it and give our ratepayers some relief. Then South Metro had just formed. They're saying, hey, we need some reusable water supplies. And then Denver Water said, hey, well, we've got some excess water supplies at times as well, and we sure would like the opportunity to use the Prairie Waters Project in emergencies. So the three partners sat down and actually put together the WISE partnership. We needed to build over $100 million of infrastructure. We're still at about half deliveries. So we're looking forward to going full throttle soon.
So here at Chatfield Dam, a few facts for you on our dam. We were originally built just for flood control and silt control because of the 1965 flood. It wasn't until 1999, Section 808 of the Water Reservoir Development Act, that Colorado Department of Natural Resources asked that this dam become a water reservoir or for public water.
So Bobby mentioned the 1999 Act. Prior to that, only Denver Water had any storage rights in the dam, and there was what's done as a PMP study, probable maximum precipitation event study. And that study actually showed that there was room to store an additional 22,600 acre-feet of water in the reservoir and preserve its flood control purpose. One of the cool things about the storage reallocation project is that one of the large shareholders in it is the Central Colorado Water Conservancy District, which provides agricultural irrigation down in Weld County. So they store their water in this river and then they release it at times when it'll benefit the river between Chatfield and Weld County. There's also 2,000 acre-feet of the storage pool is for environmental flows. I was a consultant at the time, and we had to focus on 3 areas of environmental function. One was the Prebles Meadow jumping mouse, the other was wetlands, and the third was birds. At the base level of the reservoir is 5432, that's 5,432 feet above sea level. With the reallocated pool, the level can go up to 5,444. The original EIS planned to clear and grow up all the trees and all the vegetation below 5439. And the Audubon Society in particular was concerned that would decimate the bird habitat out here. So instead, we developed an adaptive tree management plan. In the end, we were able to meet 100% of the Prebles Meadow jumping mouse environmental function units on site, 100% of the wetlands environmental function units on site, and we invested in 2 off-site areas, Sandstone Ranch, and then a second one, Schmidt, and we needed those for bird environmental function units.
Coming back to the EIS, we were afraid that that elevated water was going to drown out a lot of the existing cottonwood galleries that you can see. So to mitigate that, they spent a lot of time and effort and money into putting these plantings further upstream, just in case those trees downstream did flood out too much. Same goes with removing the dead and dying trees. The thought being is we didn't want them to float and become buoyant when we did flood, would become a hazard for boaters and would become a hazard for the dam. In 2021, we had a really wet spring, and we were able to store an additional 5 feet out of that 12 feet of additional space. It was a good test, but that leaves another 7 feet that remain untested. We're really anxious to get that over with.